I stood at the edge of Willow Creek, watching the sun dip behind the horizon, casting a golden hue over the small town I had grown up in. My heart raced with a mix of nostalgia and anger as I took in the familiar sights. The town square with its quaint coffee shop, the old bookstore where I spent countless hours, and the park where I had played as a child. But those memories felt tainted now, each one marked by the betrayal that had shattered my life less than a year ago. I could still hear the whispers in my mind, echoing the day everything changed. "Samantha, it is not what it looks like." The voice was Michael's, a deep, soothing cadence that had lulled me into a false sense of security for years. How could he say that when I had watched him with my own eyes kissing Claire? My heart clenched at the memory, but I inhaled deeply, allowing the crisp autumn air to fill my lungs. It was time for me to reclaim what was mine, to show them both that deception has a cost. I took another breath, steadying myself before I turned and made my way toward my car. The worn leather of the steering wheel felt familiar beneath my fingertips, grounding me as I drove toward the outskirts of town to the abandoned warehouse that stood lonely and forgotten. It was a place I often visited as a rebellious teenager, but now it would serve a far more important purpose. As I parked, I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me. With each step toward the warehouse, the bitter taste of my resolve filled my mind. I was no longer the naive girl who believed in love and loyalty. I was Samantha Archer, wronged and ready to fight back. "This is where it begins," I said aloud, my voice steady and determined, though the echo bounced back almost mockingly from the cold metal walls of the dilapidated structure. I pushed open the door, the rusty hinges groaning in protest, and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and the faint scent of mildew, but it didn't repel me. Rather, it invigorated me. This place had witnessed my turmoil, my heartbreak, but now it would witness my resurrection. To my left, a large window cracked open, allowing shards of the fading sunlight to filter in like broken dreams, illuminating a corner of the warehouse where old crates and forgotten machinery lay scattered. A perfect stage for my plan. I began to outline everything in my mind, envisioning the scenes that would play out here, revenge written into each moment. I could see Michael and Claire's faces twisted in shocked disbelief, painting their features when they realized I had orchestrated everything. They thought I was weak, a mere puppet in their little game. Little did they know I had been quietly gathering my strength, plotting in the shadows while they basked in their lies. "No more running from the truth," I muttered, clenching my fists until my nails dug into my palms. This was not merely about revenge, it was about reclaiming my identity, my space in a world that had come crashing down around me. And though a small voice in the back of my mind cautioned me, whispered that two wrongs do not make a right, I silenced it. Every time I recalled the moment I had caught them together, the way Claire laughed, her head thrown back as Michael brushed a lock of hair behind her ear, I felt my heart harden. The hurt morphed into something more powerful, rage. I took a seat on one of the crates, the wood splintered and uneven beneath me. The warehouse had seen better days, much like me. But in this moment it was mine, a fortress of vengeance where I would fashion my plans. "I won't be the one who gets hurt anymore," I promised myself, my voice reverberating in the empty space. Hours passed as I sketched out the details of my scheme. I wanted to draw them in, and perhaps it was somewhat poetic that I would use their sweetened trust against them. Claire would be easy enough to manipulate. I could play the sympathetic friend whom she thought she knew. Michael, on the other hand, would require some finesse. I pictured him, his confident swagger, the way he always thought he had everything under control. "Bring it on," I whispered, grinning at the thought, feeling a spark of excitement bubbling in my stomach. The sun dipped lower, casting deep shadows around me, and the time felt right to leave the warehouse. As I stepped outside, the cold night air hit me like a splash of icy water, jolting me back to reality. But I was ready now, ready to execute the plan I had crafted. With every step back to my car, I could feel the weight of the world shifting. I'd become the puppeteer. They would dance to my strings just like I once did for them. I was prepared to watch as my revenge unfolded, each moment more satisfying than the last. "Revenge is a dish best served cold," I remembered someone saying once, and I could sense the chills settling around me as I drove back into town. The streetlights flickered on, casting a glow on the pavement like stars igniting in the night sky, illuminating my path forward. Willow Creek was calm, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. And I would be the one orchestrating it all, the conductor of my own symphony of revenge, with Michael and Claire unknowingly playing the lead roles. I smirked at the thought, allowing a brief moment of comfort in knowing that soon they would understand the cost of their betrayal. With each passing second, my heart pounded with anticipation, and I wondered if they would ever truly grasp the depths of their mistake. I would make them. I stared into the reflection of the mirror, the light catching the very edges of my dark eyes, which had spent too many nights crying over what they had taken from me. What I saw was a shadow of the woman I used to be, but somehow I felt the anger boiling beneath my skin. Today was the day I took the first step toward my revenge. The thought sent an exhilarating rush through my veins, a concoction of apprehension and resolve that both thrilled and terrified me. My breath hitched in my throat as I considered what I had planned. I shook my head, casting aside the doubts like leaves in the wind. After everything that had happened, I finally owed it to myself to reclaim my life, to wrestle back what had been stolen from me by those I once trusted. As I slipped into my favorite pair of black jeans and a fitted white shirt, I thought about how different I felt since that fateful day. My heart thudded in my chest like a drum beat signaling the onset of a battle. I was gearing up for war and I needed to look the part. The clinging fabric made me feel powerful and I let out a sigh as I gathered my long hair into a messy bun atop my head. "You can do this, Samantha," I whispered to my reflection, trying to convince myself. "This is just the start, nothing can stand in your way." My phone buzzed on the counter. I grabbed it quickly, a rush of anticipation sweeping me as I saw the name on the screen: Casey, my oldest friend. "Hey, you ready, Sam?" Casey's cheerful voice filled the room and instantly lifted some weight off my shoulders. "You have that look like you're about to take over the world. Did you channel your inner superhero?" "More like supervillain," I replied, a small smile teasing at my lips. "I am meeting with someone today, someone who might help me get what I want." "Someone like a secret ally?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "What are we talking about, a spy or something?" "Not quite," I snickered, not wanting to reveal too much just yet. "Just someone from my past. I need them to remember who I am. This is about making sure that justice is served." "Justice served or revenge delivered?" Casey challenged lightly, and I could hear the grin in her voice. "Maybe a bit of both," I said, my heart racing at the thought of seeing Evan again. Evan. Just hearing his name sent a chill down my spine, mixed with memories that felt more like nightmares. He was the one who had turned my life upside down, betrayed my trust, destroyed my relationships, and taken away everything I held dear. "I have to do this alone, Casey," I said, my voice low but firm. "I know what I said earlier, but this is something I need to take care of myself." "I get that," she replied, her tone softening. "Just remember, if things get too intense, you can always call me. I know you want to be strong, but I will always be right here for you." "I appreciate it," I said quietly. Despite my determination, a pang of guilt twisted in my stomach. Casey had always been my anchor, and I wished I didn't have to keep this part hidden from her. "I'll be okay, I promise I'll call if I need to." After hanging up, I felt a wave of determination wash over me. I made my way to my car, the seat cool against my thighs as I settled inside. The small town of Willow Creek passed by in a blur as I navigated through familiar streets. Each turn evoked a flicker of memories, a reminder of the life I once had. The cafe on the corner where Evan and I used to spend lazy Sundays together felt like a distant fantasy. The park where we carved our names into the wooden bench now looked like a haunting reminder of everything I lost. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, focusing on the road ahead. Today I was not going to dwell on the past, I was going to lay the groundwork for my future. As I approached the secluded coffee shop near the edge of town, my heart raced. This was where Evan and I had spent countless hours planning our lives together before everything went down. The bell above the door jingled delicately as I walked in, and the aroma of roasted beans enveloped me like a warm hug. I set my sights on a corner table where the faded wooden chair as well as the chipped table reminded me of the innocent laughter that used to fill the space. But this wasn't about nostalgia. This was about unleashing the storm that lay dormant inside me. I spotted him seated at a table with a cup of coffee in his hand, flipping through what looked like a stack of papers, still immortalized in the world we used to know. My heart did a funny little leap in my chest, but I steadied myself, reminding myself why I was here. "Evan," I called softly, trying to keep my voice even. He looked up, his cobalt blue eyes widening with a flash of surprise mixed with something akin to guilt. "Samantha," he breathed, as if he hadn't expected to see me there. "Wow, it has been a while." I could see the hope flicker and then dim in his expression, as if my presence was both a relief and a burden. "Yeah, since before everything happened." I walked forward, a chilling tightness in my chest. "I know we have a lot to talk about." He gestured to the chair across from him. "Please have a seat." The tone in his voice gave away his uncertainty, and his hands fidgeted with the papers as if to avoid direct eye contact. I took a deep breath and sat down slowly, forcing a smile despite the anger rising in me. "I'm not here to reminisce, Evan." "Right," he replied, swallowing hard. "I get that. So what is it that you want to talk about?" The way he spoke made it clear he was still feeling defensive. Good, I wanted him to feel that, just a taste of how I had felt bruised and wronged and betrayed. "I know about what you did. You thought you were being clever, didn't you? Thinking you could just erase me from your life when you chose to betray our friendship and everything we had." His expression shifted, shifting to a mixture of guilt and denial. "Samantha, it was complicated. I never wanted to hurt you, you have to know that." "Hurt me? You shattered my trust. You made choices that affected my entire life." My voice rose, and I saw a couple of heads turn in our direction. "You went behind my back, leaned into betrayal, and you need to own that. I came here to confront you, Evan, and I'm tired of living in a shadow your lies created." I know, believe me, I've regretted it every day since," he said, his voice filled with desperation. "I thought I was protecting you, keeping you safe." "From what?" I spat, leaning forward into the table, my hands gripping the edges. "From the consequences of your own cowardice." "What was it, Evan? You thought choosing to stab me in the back was better than being honest." His fists balled up on the table, creating a deep crease in the paper. "I thought you would understand, and I thought I could control the situation. But it spiraled out of control. I never meant to hurt you." "Control?" I echoed, incredulous. "You thought you were in control while you were destroying my life." He flinched at my words, looking down at the table as if it held the answers to every question I had. "I wish I could take it all back," he whispered. "For what? So you could go back to your comfortable life while I picked up the pieces you left behind." "That isn't how this works, Evan." My heart raced and emotions tangled within me like thorns. I had rehearsed this moment countless times, but now that I was here, it suddenly felt surreal. I am sorry, Samantha, truly, he said, his eyes pleading. I never wanted it to turn into this. I leaned back in my chair, allowing the silence to stretch between us. You gravely miscalculated. The weight of your actions is not something I can just forgive or forget. You will eventually face the consequences of your choices. Consequences? He asked, confusion seeping into his voice. What do you mean you can't be serious? Oh, I assure you I am deadly serious, Evan. I kept my voice calm, each word a calculated bullet aimed straight at his heart. This is far from over. I may not have the kind of power you had, but I have a plan, and plans can be very dangerous if you're not careful. His face fell and a moment of realization washed over him. What are you planning? You don't have to do this. Please. No, Evan, I interrupted firmly. This isn't about you. This is about me, reclaiming my strength, and I intend to see this through. The resolve in my voice must have made him realize I was no longer the timid woman he had once known. With every word, the pieces of my carefully crafted plan began to fit together, and it was exhilarating to perceive. Every action, every choice had led me here, and I would not back down. I stood up, the chair scraping against the floor as I met his gaze head-on. Remember this moment, Evan. Understand that I will not be a victim anymore. I am taking control, and nothing will prevent me from getting what I deserve. With those final words, I turned on my heel and walked out of the cafe, the bell ringing behind me like a herald announcing the closing of a chapter and the opening of another. The world outside felt different, the air charged and electric with possibilities, every step planting the seeds of a reckoning that was long overdue. I could feel his eyes on my back as I walked away, witness to the unfolding of a storm he had unwittingly created. I smiled to myself, my heart racing, knowing that the game had just begun. The coffee shop's bell chimed as I pushed through the door, a gust of steaming air wafting toward me. The rich aroma of roasted beans and the sweet scent of pastries mingled in the cozy atmosphere. It felt like a mocking embrace, a sharp contrast to the turmoil churning within me. I spotted Ethan through the window, his casual posture leaning back against the wooden chair as he scrolled through his phone. My heart raced, a mix of excitement and dread. This was it. The plan was unfolding, and I was the puppet master. I stepped inside, forcing myself to take a deep breath. The familiar sound of the espresso machine hissed and sputtered, a rhythm that had once felt comforting. Now it felt like a ticking clock counting down to my confrontation. I walked towards him, each step heavy with purpose. When he finally looked up, his expression shifted to one of surprise and then delight. Sam, I hadn't expected to see you here. Hey, Ethan, I replied, injecting a nonchalance I did not feel into my voice. I slid into the seat across from him, the table a barrier both physical and emotional. His smile faded, replaced by curiosity. Everything okay? You look a little tense. Just a lot on my mind. I forced a laugh, but it came out hollow. How's everything with the business, honestly? The board meetings are getting ridiculous. They keep pushing for more numbers, more growth. It's exhausting, he replied, running a hand through his hair, a gesture I couldn't help but find charming despite my anger at him. Maybe you should tell them to back off. You're one person, I suggested, the hint of sarcastic warmth creeping into my voice. You know how it is. If I don't meet their expectations, they'll just find someone who will. He shrugged, the weight of his words lingering in the air between us. I clenched my fists under the table, remembering the lies he had spun, the betrayal so fresh in my mind that it felt like a wound still bleeding. I took a moment to breathe, trying to focus. Well, success looks good on you, I said with a forced smile, the taste of bile rising in my throat. His eyes sparkled. Thanks, that means a lot coming from you. You have no idea how hard I worked to get here. I nodded, picturing every late-night meeting, every coffee-speckled document he had casually tossed aside at 4 a.m. It sickened me, but I needed him to trust me. I know you must be really busy. I just had something I wanted to talk to you about. What's up? He asked, his brow furrowing slightly, the concern evident. I hesitated, the words writhing in my mind. I had rehearsed this. I had played the conversation over and over, but now it felt so real, raw, and dangerous. It's about you and me. His unexpected smile faded, replaced by a mixture of confusion and concern. What do you mean? I thought we were good, Sam. The last few months we seemed to be in a good place. I wanted to scream, to shatter his perception of our so-called good place. Ethan, you know what I mean, the way you just left, the way you made me feel like I didn't matter. He leaned in, his expression shifting to one of concern and a hint of guilt. I never meant to hurt you. I was just confused about where things were going. Confused? I scoffed. That's one way to put it. You followed someone else's dreams while I was here trying to support you, and for what? Just to be discarded like I was nothing. Sam, it's not like that, he pleaded, his voice lowering as if pulling me closer. There were things going on that you didn't know about. I thought I was doing the right thing by taking this path, by betraying me. I interrupted, the bitterness sour in my mouth. Do you remember what you promised me? Together no matter what, but you just walked away like I didn't even matter. His face fell, the regret washing over his features like a tidal wave. I know I messed up and I am sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. You were everything to me. I leaned back, folding my arms across my chest, trying to guard the vulnerability that threatened to emerge. You left me without a second thought. You chose your ambition over your friends, over love. How am I supposed to believe anything coming out of your mouth right now? But we can work through this. We can figure it out together, he urged, desperation creeping into his voice. I stared at him, searching for a hint of sincerity, a glimmer of regret that might mean he cared even a little. But all I felt was the hurt and betrayal of his choices. I took a drink of my lukewarm coffee, the bitterness matching my mood. Figuring things out is great and all, Ethan, but what I really want is for you to feel the consequences of what you did. His eyes darted away, brows furrowing as he mustered a response. What do you mean by that? Consequences, Sam, please don't talk like that. Like what? You think you can just say sorry and everything magically goes back to what it was? You can't just bury your past mistakes under a pile of ambition. He shifted in his seat, discomfort rippling through him. If I had known how you were going to feel, I would have. Would have what? I shot back, feeling the walls closing around us, the tension thickening the air. Would have done it differently, would have considered my feelings. It's too late for that now, Ethan. Sam, he began, but I could see the resignation settling in his voice. Save it, I snapped back, my heart racing. This is not about you, it's about what I want. And right now I want you to understand the pain you caused me. The silence stretched between us like a taut wire, each of us unwilling to break it first. I could feel the cafe humming around us, other patrons chattering, clinking their cups, laughing obliviously at our standstill. The moment was surreal, as though the world outside this little bubble of confrontation no longer existed. Finally, he nodded, an expression of painful understanding washing over his features. Fine, what can I do? How can I make this right? Those words hung in the air, laden with meaning, and for a moment I felt a flicker of hope that maybe he would understand the gravity of his past actions. But deep down I knew there was more at play than just apologies and promises. It was time to set the wheels of my revenge in motion. Tell me what you know about the merger, I said, a smile creeping onto my lips as I leaned forward slightly, my voice dropping to conspiratorial whisper. What merger? He asked, confusion washing over his face. Please, Ethan, I urged, knowing this was my chance. You know what I mean, your company wants to buy out Redwood Tech and you're at the center of it. You're the one who'll make that decision. He leaned back, wariness coating his features. I can't discuss company business like that, it's confidential. I bit back a smile, knowing I had pushed right where I needed to. But you're not just making a decision for the company, Ethan. You're also deciding the fate of everyone involved. You understand how much this impacts lives, right? He opened his mouth as if to protest but stopped. You know I didn't mean for any of this to happen, that was never the intention. Of course it was, I leaned in closer, my voice sharp and accusing. You wanted to climb your way to the top without a single thought to the people you'd trample on the way. No, that's not fair, he shot back, his tone rising in protest. You don't know everything, then tell me, I challenged, refusing to back down. Tell me everything and maybe you can save at least a fragment of the trust we had. He stared at me, measuring my words as I felt a growing sense of satisfaction, a thrill pulsing through my veins as things tilted in my favor. All right, he said hesitantly, the tension in his voice palpable. But it's not that simple. There are a lot of moving parts, so to speak. Then let's start there, shall we? I smirked, laying the foundation for a plan that would turn the tables on Ethan in ways he never anticipated. His reluctance was evident, but I could see the internal battle he fought. He would eventually see that I was not just the girl he mistook for someone without a backbone. I was no longer merely Samantha Archer. I was a woman determined to reclaim what had been taken from me. So tell me, Ethan. I leaned slowly toward him, my voice low. How do you think this ends for us? And in that moment, under the watchful eyes of the barista and the mundane chatter of the cafe, the new game had begun. I just had to wait for the perfect opportunity to strike, to unleash the storm that had been brewing inside me and watch as his world unraveled. I stood at the edge of Willow Creek's Central Park, the evening sky slowly bleeding into shades of deep purple and indigo, hints of silver stars starting to twinkle above me like distant eyes observing my every move. I could hear the quiet rustle of leaves as the gentle breeze danced through the trees, carrying with it the sweet scent of blooming lilacs, but the fragrance did nothing to soothe the raging storm inside my chest. Today was the day. I'd spent weeks honing my plan, mapping out every detail to ensure the last piece of my revenge hit its target like a perfectly aimed arrow. My heart raced as my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a message from Kyle, my best friend and the only one who knew of my plot. Are you ready? It read. I took a deep breath, steadying myself, and replied, as ready as I will ever be. The 3 dots danced on the screen as he typed back, you've got this, just remember why you're doing this. I bit my lip and glanced around. The park was practically empty at this hour. The sound of children's laughter from a nearby playground floated through the air, a haunting reminder of innocence lost. But I had long buried any notions of innocence in Ashton's betrayal. I approached the park's gazebo, my heart pounding, each step echoing the wrath I had simmered for so long. The wooden structure stood like a sentinel in the twilight, shadows clinging to its corners. I could see him standing there, casually leaning against one of the support beams, a smug grin plastered on his face that I wanted to wipe away for good. I felt a surge of anger mounted within me, almost blinding. How could he look so relaxed when I had spent sleepless nights plotting his downfall? Samantha, he called out, his voice smooth like honey but laced with arrogance. You made it. I knew you wouldn't back down. I could barely contain my disgust. I'm surprised you bothered to wait, Ashton, I shot back, closing the distance between us, forcing myself to keep my voice steady. Don't you have somewhere else to be, like hiding behind someone else's back? His smirk faltered just for a moment before he recovered. Touchy, are we? You know I don't enjoy putting you in these situations, but you left me no choice. You're not as tough as you think. I could almost see the gears turning in his head, contemplating his next move. But I had anticipated this, and for the first time I felt the confidence of preparation washing over me. Yet here I am standing in front of you, I said, allowing just a small chuckle to bubble up, forcing it into a confidence I didn't fully feel. What's that say about your so-called choices? Ashton's breath hitched for a moment, and I couldn't help but relish the small victory. You're playing a dangerous game, Samantha. You might not like how it ends. His eyes bored into mine, dark and challenging like an impending storm, but I refused to back down. The air between us crackled with tension, and I could sense he was beginning to realize I was not the same girl he had wronged so brutally. I'm not afraid of danger, Ashton. I'm standing right here, am I not? I stepped closer until I could smell the faint hint of his cologne, a mix of spice and something deep and dark that reminded me of treachery. But I had grown stronger, and each breath filled me with resolve. You might want to watch what you say next. I might just surprise you. He laughed, but it was empty, echoing around us in the dim light of dusk. Is that a threat? What are you planning? You've been acting all mysterious lately. I leaned in, lowering my voice deliberately as though sharing a secret. You have no idea how much I have been planning. He stiffened, his expression shifting slightly as if worry replaced arrogance for a mere heartbeat. I know about everything, Ashton. You thought I would just sit back and forget how you betrayed me. Suddenly, the confidence I thought I had faltered, and I recognized the ache of unresolved pain inside me, the memories of trust shattered like glass. I remembered the way I had felt when I found out he had been stealing my designs for the company we worked at, using them to build an entire business without me. The anger was like a fire rolling within my veins, and I did not want to let it cool. You think this is over, don't you? He sneered, backing away slightly, folding his arms. You will never win against me. This isn't a game, Ashton, I shot back, my emotions spiraling as I paced the small space within the gazebo. You don't understand what it feels like to have everything you worked for ripped away, to be used and tossed aside like yesterday's garbage. You stole my ideas, my work, and my trust. He shook his head, eyes narrowing. You don't know what you're talking about. You were always too soft, too weak. The words stung like a slap to the face, but I would not let him see how deeply they cut. Weakness is believing I would allow you to get away with this. Weakness is what you are. My voice rose, fueled by righteous fury. I'm done being your pawn. You won't walk away unscathed, not this time. Is that a threat or a desperate act? I don't think you realize how far I can bring you down. His bravado was thick in the air, a film I wanted to wipe clean with the truth of my words. I'm not afraid, Ashton. You've already taken everything. Now I'm here to make sure you pay for it. Before he could respond, I reached into my pocket, pulling out the flash drive, the evidence that would expose everything. This is your funeral. I held it up, my heart racing as I watched the realization cross his face like a shadow falling over a sunlit landscape. Every document, every email, every conversation transcribed. You thought you could destroy me, but instead you opened the door for your own undoing. His expression morphed into a whirlwind of disbelief and panic, a sight I relished. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I would, I replied calmly, savoring the moment. I'll release this to everyone in the company. You'll be branded a thief and a fraud, and I won't stop until you receive the justice you deserve. He stepped closer, anger flaring like wildfire in his eyes. You think you're fearless, but you're making a mistake, he hissed. I'm making a choice, I countered, meeting his gaze unflinchingly. What you don't understand is that fear doesn't dictate my life anymore. You're not the only one who can strategize, Ashton. I've learned, I've changed. The silence stretched between us, thick and pregnant with unspoken words. I felt the adrenaline rushing through me, my heart pounding in my chest like a war drum, echoing the truth I had sought for so long. The sense of power coursed through my veins. The moment of reckoning had finally arrived. You think victory lies in what you hold, he finally said, his voice low, almost a whisper laden with tension. But in the end, I always win. Not this time. I took a step back, feeling emboldened by my conviction. This is where your power ends, Ashton, and mine truly begins. In the depths of my heart, I knew I would see this through. With that, I turned and walked away, leaving him standing there, consumed by disbelief, the weight of his arrogance crashing against the tidal wave of my resolve. Each step I took felt lighter, my past finally lifting from my shoulders. I was no longer just Samantha Archer. I was a force to be reckoned with, ready to take back what was mine. The night was dark, but I stepped forward into the light, and the taste of victory was sweet on my lips.